Here we are looking at the strongest momentum companies on the ASX right now. Plus, we also look at the list of the Launchpad, where we hope to find the next leaders and hopefully within a group of a leading thematic that we can pinpoint together and really get behind for the next charge. We've got this list that goes out to Charles. He's helping us fill in for Gary. And both of them get that list on a Thursday afternoon at the same time that members do, and they send through their requests. What we're doing with this list is we're pulling out our favorite charts, things to learn from, setups that we want to look at, potential trades, and analysis that can help us become better momentum traders. So with that on your shoulders and on your plate in front of you, how are you this morning, Charles?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm happy. It's Friday. The sun's up, the surf's up, and it's a cycling and surfing day, but we have trades to talk about. So that's what we get to do. And you've marked up some nice charts for us this week. I'm quite happy to look through. You just gave me a sneak peek of what's ahead of us. So when you're looking at the market, momentum at the moment, what's standing out to you? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What's happening with your gauge on the market?
I've been pretty quiet this week. Gold's has been really well supported. But I'm actually sitting on a fair bit of cash. There's a few opportunities which I've traded, but it's been all in all a pretty quiet week.
So with the quiet week, coming back on the cash and momentum, is that because you've hit profit target and you sort of trimmed out, you've stopped out? Has it been a success to lead into the cash, or has it been sort of a flush out by hitting stops? How have you felt the last couple of weeks to get to this current cash position?
A few weeks ago, I was taking profit into strength and it worked really well. And there wasn't the new opportunities to be rolling into. And there was a couple of stop outs earlier in the week which were like, it happens. But there was also a couple of good trades as well that I'll run through. So it's a bit of a mixed week, but all in all, it's been a positive one. So yeah, it's just quiet in general.
Right, general. Well, if the momentum traders looking at this, they've been in the same spot because we're all trading the ASX. And as we say this, I'm logging in to give a look at the momentum profile. We're all trading the ASX. So if anyone else is having that sort of position where they find themselves sitting on more cash than normal, comment below, let us know, because Gary was a similar position before he went on holidays. He was quite happy. That timed really well for him and he came into cash. And what I'll do is I'll just jump into a screen share and show the momentum profile, because that's what we built for level 2 members. They now have access to it. And thanks to those who have joined and upgraded to be able to see that as well. Here's the daily list, and what we can see, the momentum profile, the dark blue line kind of confirms what you're saying there, Charles. The last couple of weeks was strong and hitting profit target, and those opportunities just haven't been coming back as much. And this really fits in with this purple number down the bottom. The probability of finding a company gaining 10% or more on the ASX, there's a normal range, and we're only just 70% above that. So it's pretty average what we see right now, like literally the definition of average. We're getting close to it. So the number of companies on the ASX above their 50-day moving average, that's also drifting lower. We're back to 63% of tradable companies. So that's telling us, well, the opportunities are not abundant, but there are strong momentum companies. The momentum profile is still fairly strong. We can see when we go to the most recent ones that there are some really solid scores here, 75, 60, 56, most of them above 30, which is actually really good. So we're going to go through this list and find out those top ones. Let me stop the screen share so that Charles can then add in his screens. So we'll start off with the momentum. Should be able to zoom, should be able to let Charles, yes, there we go. It's loading up. We can see his markup here. So this is a great chart. What do you want to walk us through on this?
So one thing that's been really strong this week has been gold. It's probably been the theme. Sometimes I find gold is just a personal thing, quite difficult to trade in the sense that when gold's setting up, it means that everything else is not looking so great. And then when that turns around, you can have this really vicious cycle back. So I usually play gold tentatively, but each to their own. So BNZ. So first of all, with my sort of trading, I want to be buying in sort of in tightness and then selling into expansion. So it's a really good looking chart. Tightens up, volume really dries up, and then expands with volume coming in, and then it's taken a couple of weeks to sort of tighten up again, dry up in volume, and breaking out again. So the way that I sort of look at things is that if I haven't caught it on this day or even at the start of this day, I'm not going to be chasing it. So it really comes down to stalking stocks and being prepared when they do break out. Great looking chart. I'd be, if I was holding it, I'd be either, lightening a very few of them, but I'd be probably just hanging on to see where it goes and see if it can have another push.
Well, I'd echo all of that actually. So gold, I trade tentatively. I find that really difficult unless I see a huge congestion of the same pattern. So a lot of VCPs, a lot of bases, a lot of high tight flags or something all happening at the same time. I will trade gold tentatively for exactly the same reasons. And I'd be doing the same thing with BNZ. So next one on the list is Doug, DUG.
This was one from last week as well. Like it's had run up from the bottom, traded sideways, tightness. So I wouldn't be, for my style, I wouldn't be even looking at it here. I want to see a run up, and then the difficulty is the run up, trade sideways, and then gaps. So, and this comes down to the level of risk of how comfortable people are in terms of their strategy. As we discussed on Tuesday, a defined strategy comes down to everything. Like, do you buy gaps? When do you buy the gaps? What formation do you want the gap to be coming out of? And like, this is the way I look at it. That is a buyable gap, and it's done pretty well. So it's just pulling into the 10-day moving average. The magenta line's the 10-day MA, and I'd be watching it pretty closely. Like the volumes coming in. It's a reasonable company, so yeah, I think it's one to keep a pretty close eye on.
LKO. Okay, another one. That's breaking it again today. So just for those who are watching, remember that Charles marks up these charts from Thursday afternoon. So he's made this selection before the market opened today.
Yep. So this is LKO. They had a recapitalisation. The stocks obviously traded sideways. Now it started to trade above all the MAs, volumes coming in. And once again, if I hadn't have caught it pretty close to this breakout, I wouldn't be chasing it because it's had a huge run and it's in a trading hold today doing a capital raise. And obviously with mining companies and pre-revenue companies, they're always going to be raising money on the ASX. So I actually give directors a pat on the back for raising money when it's an opportune time, opposed to raising money, when they have to. It's painful being a shareholder when it happens, but I'd much rather, if they'd raise money here, they'd be raising it, call it, 7.5 cents. I don't know what price it's been raised at, but it's, you've always got to be wary of companies that aren't making money. Are they going to raise, after a large rally? And if I give full marks to directors that actually do raise at the opportune time.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think Gary's followed Mesoblast quite closely, and yeah, he's commented on that many times. So it is something that we deal with as Australian traders, normally with a large percentage of our tradable companies being not profitable.
So this is VR1. It's had a fantastic run. It's too small for me, like below the 50-cent mark in the defense space. Nice little pattern here. Volume dries up as it's held price after it's traded up, traded sideways. Volume dies down, and then volume comes back in as it breaks out again. So if I was, as mentioned, I don't own it, but it looks pretty good.
It's going up by the stairs quite
Yeah,
in the conformed style.
looks like a bit of a MA hugger, so that looks pretty good. MM8, same thing. It's really starting to expand away from the MAs. Now, this is one where I'd be, I did actually try it, but I didn't have a huge position because of the volume. I'd be each to their own. I don't want to tell people what to do, but I'd be, that's it. It looks good. It's expanding away. I buy in congestion and sell into expansion. That's that's my strategy.
Nice. Okay, so we move to the launch pad. And so they're the top momentum ones. We'll get to the members' requests in a second because clearly there's a chart in front of us. But I had to scratch my head and ask Charles what it meant. And as soon as he said it, it's like, oh, that all makes sense now. So you've just laid it in front of us and I've delayed it by talking. So what is it?
So I was explaining to someone as to my trading setup, and for stocks that have a multi-month pullback, and then when they break out, they typically trade sideways before they go again. And so we want to see this sort of pattern. And I was explaining to someone, they're like, oh, but how do you know where the trend lines are? And I was like, thought about it for a little while. I think it's like grandma's scissors. So I call these a scissor trade. Horizontal.
This is downtrend. Yep.
Yep. It's downtrend has to trade on the right side of the downtrend. It comes up to a critical point, and then once it can break through the horizontal trade or the horizontal trend line, then that's where I'd be looking at it. So that's, it's just I looked at it and had a bit of a laugh. Yeah, I call that a scissors trade.
But it, like you say, scissors, I can see it now. And that has to be horizontal, one of those scissor arms.
Yeah.
My question for you is that horizontal arm placed on the high that happens after the breakout? And it's just coincidentally on the left-hand side, that was like a swing low? Or do you want the two to match up with a swing low or something of substance to the left? Or is it all about what happens on the right?
On the right. And ideally, quite often it actually, it'll line up with a support or resistance level on the left as well. But I'm looking at this level here. You could have, had it here on this point, but typically that was where the sellers came in and put the brakes on. So it was interesting that I did have a little go at it on this day here, because I thought, okay, it was a tested position, and I tried to get into the stock early. It reversed the next day, and I was out. I was like, I was trying to second guess it, and hence it was a tiny starter position, and I was out. But that's the type of trade that I'd be looking at. Where's the critical line of price? Are the sellers going to come in, or are the sellers done and then the stock runs? So that's typically stock runs up, hits resistance, that's on that horizontal line.
So on that horizontal line, just taking a Wyckoff perspective, is that sort of the point where it proves to you that the bulls are back in charge of the price movement if you can break above that horizontal?
Yep.
Okay.
Spot on.
Nice. Okay. I'm learning something. Hopefully viewers are too. If you learned something, okay, comment, let us know. We got some good feedback from the last couple of videos, so thank you very much for all the comments that we've been getting. But we've got AIM, there's the downtrend line. Is it essential for a scissor, or you want more of a drawn out movement?
No, I'd be watching it pretty closely for this type of movement. Well, it's clearly broken the downtrend, came up, and then that's the movement that I'll be looking for. Volume's drying up, obviously a huge amount of volume at the bottom. I've heard some good things about the company. I don't know it as well as some others, but it's one that I'm keeping a close eye on. Another Goldie. It's a pretty good looking chart. And once again, if I haven't traded it here, I'm not chasing it here. Like it's a really nice, I haven't drawn it all that well, but tightens in price and now it's breaking out. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
This was BC8, one from last week that we talked about, and it's continued to actually trade reasonably well. I did lighten some into the old high, just to de-risk it, and now I look at it as basically a free trade, because I'll either be, so if I take some off into strength, I'll be either using the 10 or the 20 MA as a guide as to, do I want to be selling it when it trades below the 10 MA? Because I've researching all my trades in the past, the most successful ones are when stocks are trading above the 10A. Marty Swartz, one of his main strategy is that not touching anything that's below the 10MA. And I, after going back and looking at all my trades, below the 10MA, they just get stuck in the mud, especially if you haven't got the entry right. So it's been good. These are the ones that we like, put it that way.
Nice. Okay.
Gold in reference to the other gold stocks. So it's pushed well, probably trading sideways. We'd want to see it push again. And POL, it was another one, another scissors during the week. We talked about it last week, volume drying up. And then from the bottom, volume was sort of shaping up, and then it's really pushed. So I sort of look at price and volume. Price is the story, and volume's the truth teller. Like, this isn't mum and dad buying. This is institutions. That's the way I look at the story of the market. Like, the price can obviously, tell a great story, but if there's no volume coming in, it's I don't think it's true. So I won't touch it.
That's a nice analogy. I like that. And so you moved through some members' requests, which is great. So they get that the Thursday afternoon. They comment through and say, "Hey, can we have a look at this?" And we were talking about this before, and it seems like one of them's most likely put forward the request is, "Hey, how did this one get into the list?" And this is what we were talking about before. There has been a 1 for 10 restructure, so it does throw the numbers out. And good on them for, I think it was Jazzy pointing that out. Yes, it does throw an anomaly. So into the equation, it does spit out a red herring. And this is not one that we normally do. So yes, that's one request, but good on them for being on top of the formulas and saying, hang on, that does happen. But SGQ, that one looks like it's got some legs.
Nice VCP. It's run up. Look at the volume. And then all of a sudden, in this sideways moment, the volume just dries up. And expanding away from the MAs, the MAs are, the 10s above the 20, the 20s above the 50. I haven't got the larger ones, but it looks fantastic. Now it's just having a bit of a stall. 7 cents, too small for me, but that's a really good looking chart. Like, if I hadn't purchased it in this level, I wouldn't be chasing it. I can't stress enough buying in congestion or sort of in consolidation and selling into expansion. That has been.
I look at that congestion you're talking about as sort of buying in safety. I feel a lot more comfort having my stops near there. If I'm buying on a stretch like that, I feel so exposed, and that's reducing my sleep at night factor. It's not fun.
Spot on. So if you buy here and you can have your stop, typically my stop is the previous day's low. For some reason, that has worked well for me, and that's probably my most preferred stop. Where if you're buying it here, like, where do you?
Yeah,
you're buying it up here. Where do you put your stop? Do you put it here? Well, it could easily, and if you stopped out, it could be the price could be doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, it could be conforming to a strong setup, a strong continuation.
Spot on.
Yeah. So yeah, we both avoid it for the same reasons, and we came at it independently before we knew each other. That's how we did it. Oh, we both went to the school of hard knocks on that front. But 29M, how's that looking?
Looks pretty good. There's a nice little buy point in this level. Expanding away from the MAs probably needs a bit of a pullback. Good volume holding up. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the chart. It looks pretty good, but I would not. Well, I don't chase, so each their own. But I don't chase.
Yeah, IVZ.
Great explosive move. Just having a pullback. Good to see the volume is really starting to dry up, which is nice. So if I was looking at this, I'd be thinking, okay, what do I want to see? And I want to see probably even a little bit of a pullback. It could the 20 MA could come up, and then all of a sudden with large volumes coming in, and to me that'd be an ideal scenario. And I'll just get rid of that one. That wasn't very good. And that's the type of formation that we want to see, but it's doing nothing wrong. Looks good.
with that one, would you want for a 52-week high, or would you wait for a swing high to be broken? Or it depends on how it sets up.
It depends on what day it takes out the previous day's high. If it did it within a certain period of time, I'd be just buying it. But if it, for example, I'll see if I can. So if it started taking out a high reasonably quickly, like in this setup here, I'd be taking out. I'd be buying it straight away. However, if it drifted back for a couple of weeks, I'd be waiting for another setup before it actually took off. Now, that might be a little bit subjective and sound a bit strange, but if the best stocks take out the previous day's high in a shorter period of time. So if they drift and drift and drift and drift and drift, it's not a market leader. So I want to be trading market leaders in the stocks that push, come back for a certain period of time, and then go again. So as soon as it's taken out the previous day's high, that's where I'll be looking to get into it.
That's a good insight. I like that. Thank you. And LKY, explosive there.
Really explosive. Looks good. I don't have much of a view on it. It's obviously tightness and now breaking into expansion, volume coming in, volume drying up, bouncing off the 20 MA. It hard one to trade, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, we've become familiar with this name.
40X.
Yeah.
Good volume and another good announcement today. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. It was interesting that it gapped up and now to close that gap. And quite often it can happen from a huge expansion, like a doubled, tripled, and then does it pull back for a series of days, and then start breaking out, and we have dry up in volume, and then large volume coming in as the MAs catch up, and that's the type of movement that I'll be looking for, because I think you can buy it today. But let's say if you bought it today from taking out the previous day's high, the stop's here from call it $2 to 50 cents.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take on a large position with a short stop, where you put on a large position, you've got a pretty wide stop, and it's that risk reward that we talked about on Tuesday of risking $1 to a $5. It's too hard. So you basically got to risk it. I don't see it as a 1 to 5 at this level, and that's why I'm waiting. I'm happy to wait. I'm not going to get caught in FOMO in this one.
Yeah, definitely. And that was something interesting we heard from members. They said, that watching these videos has helped them sit comfortably with not having to chase things and not get the fear of missing out. They just sit comfortable and go, no, that one's passed. And as it was explained to me when I was right early in the industry, sit down, calm, it's okay. There's another bus coming. Okay. But you do it, Gary does it, a lot of professional traders do it. It's okay. We don't need to chase. But BML's on the request, and you've got some nice squiggles. So walk us through the squiggles.
It's got a nice little staircase. Obviously, tightness in price. All the MAs tighten up, dry up in volume, breaks out, and it's gone from 17 cents up to 25. And it hasn't had a first pullback. So that's, once again, if I haven't purchased it on, and typically I want to wait for a stock to break out and tell me, okay, you've got to look at this. Actually, as an example, so POL, I was speaking to one of the brokers I deal with, and we were talking about it and Macquarie just before, actually, and so I'm going off a bit tangent here.
We're going to learn something. This is good.
So if you look at all the tightness in the MAs, I'll zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, they're all compressing on each other and overlapping.
Yep. Now, a trader could, he could say, "Oh yeah, it's had a nice, it's had a nice formation, and it looks like it's breaking out. Do you take out this high?" However, the MAs are all congested, and everyone's different, but what I've found is that I want the stocks to actually jump up on me and say, "Hey, Charles, pick me,
That means
pick me."
Yeah.
And it's not until they break out. So, POL, it's broken out and then it traded sideways and then pushed again. So this is why I took POL this level opposed to looking at it here or here. Compare that to, what was the stock we were looking at?
Was it
Yeah.
ML, was it?
ML. So now the stock's jumping up and down saying, look at me, where previously, if we look at it from that point of view, there's nothing in that that's saying, look at me.
Yeah, I'm a leader. I'm a standout.
Yeah. And obviously, if you know the fundamentals, it has a huge difference, because if you love the company and you know that they're management and they're looking good, well, that's completely different. I'm just looking at it purely from the price action. I want a company to be saying, pick me.
Yeah, well, funny you mentioned that. So with the membership that we updated, members can on a daily basis filter for those moving average compressions. But how we use it is look at, okay, what's been the best momentum rank? So has it proven itself? Does it have a good momentum score? So it's proven, it's already put its hand up and said, pick me. And then it's gone through that compression, and those moving averages are going to compress as you've been drawing, they catch up.
Yep.
And that's what we filter. So we've got strong momentum score, but then the moving averages is caught up. So then we can look for all those things that you've been drawing. So I love that you're looking at the moving averages in a very similar way. But we digress. Another request was IR1 on the momentum leaders. So we're getting some scissors here.
We're getting some scissors. So I'd be looking at
Oh.
going, at what point does resistance come in? Like, if I haven't purchased it here, I'm not chasing into expansion. Like, does the price come up and then pull back and then break again, or does it even come all the way up here? I'd much rather wait for the formation to set up opposed to just second guessing it. So I'd be waiting. I'd be waiting on IR1.
And we've got to thank you for doing these, because you only got these member requests dumped on you 5 minutes before we started this Zoom call. So
It's all right.
On the fly.
FPH. So the stock's had a large run up and then traded sideways for a period of time. And that's, basically 12 months trading sideways. So that looks pretty good. A bit like the POL, where heavy congestion and it breaks out, fails. What I'd be looking for is the stock rally up and then hold for a period of time and then go. That's the formation I'll be looking at. But the volume's been, it's been drying up relatively. So it's doing nothing wrong. I'd be keeping an eye on it, but it's not for me just yet.
I probably should have talked to you before I bought this last month. I had 4 or 5 good trades in that same space, and they hit profit target within, some of them within a week. But this one just didn't conform. You can see where it broke out and faded. And I was on that.
Was this the level?
Yeah, I entered earlier because there was just breakouts all within that space. And this has been a leading thematic, the diagnostics tools, the 40Xs and the like.
Yep.
For weeks or months now. And I'm okay, well, I'll take a large cap. I can get a decent position into it. Anyway, I should have called you, and you could have drawn this up for me. But so AAR next is
it looks okay. Smaller name. I don't know too much about it. It's had a run up, trade sideways, run up, and now it's trading sideways. So does it break out again? Volume's reasonable. The question I sort of think about is, and I'm not a massive Warren Buffett fan, just, I'll just preempt that. But he does come up with some great analogies, and it's one is that, or it might have been Charlie Munger. If you've got 10 hole punches that you want to trade, and each hole punch is a trade, do you want to be trading this stock? Like, is this one of the best setups on the ASX at the moment? That'd be the question that I'd be looking at. Like, if I have to trade a stock, would I be picking this one? and I actually rank them. So of a morning, I'll rank out. I might be looking at, call it 3, 5, 20 charts, and I'll rank them and go, okay, what's the best looking chart with the fundamentals that I really want to have in the portfolio? And so I don't know anything about AR. They might have the best deposit going around, but that's what I'd be thinking about, is to where it ranks in the portfolio. Because if you're going to bring a stock in, you want to be pushing a stock out, and is it in the top couple? That would be my only comment on AAR.
Yeah, no, I'd second that, because is it worth my capital is the first question I ask.
Yeah.
And then even if I'm scanning for opportunities, which is where the momentum profile and regime that we've added help me out. Okay, I've got capital to deploy, but now my next question is, well, is it actually worth my time? Is this setup worthwhile? And those momentum profile help me look at it and go, actually, no, I want to go for a surf. So it's a similar ranking system, but it's a different way.
Yep.
So what have we got on this one?
You can see a bit of a scissors trade.
Yeah.
So this is what I was mentioning before about if price is the story, is the volume's the truth. So the price looks good, but the volume's not there yet. So is this stock going to continue to break out? That's the way that I'd be looking at it. Compare it to I'm just guessing here, but MMA volumes, it dries up and then volume comes in as it's breaking out, which looks fantastic. So good price action. But if we're looking at the volume, is the price action telling the truth? What a cracker. VAU.
Right. Good request.
And
teach us. It's a cracking trade. We've got the MAs are stacked up. They're running. The volume's been explosive. There's an earnings, because TradingView have a nice E down there in the bottom of the volume profile. So that tells us, bang, it exploded on it. With the volume, it's gapped up. So I'm going to guess and say that was an episodic pivot at the same time, big volume and the gap.
Yep.
And that seems to have coincided with your scissors. So would you trade that? Actually, I'll let you drive, and then I've got that question in the back pocket.
So I've missed this trade. It's probably one that I wouldn't have been looking at because of the size, below 50 cents when it gapped up. Clearly, I'm making a big assumption, but I don't think it's that big, that it would have gapped up on news, light volume as it's had a run up, and now huge volume coming in on the gap up day, and it's continued to push. So, and it's actually coincided with the scissors trade. So that's, for me, if I was, once again, if it was one that I was aware of and it was
shortlisted kind of thing,
it was shortlisted, I'd probably be trying to take it on the open or on a morning range breakout.
Okay, so that's a nice chart. It is. And then MAT. So bang, this is off running today as well. What's the take? What's the understanding? Okay, congestion. I'm looking at volume as you're drawing those flat lines. It's really tight. Yes, it's under 10 cents. It's traded over 10 cents. For those of you not too familiar with the ASX, once you get to 10 cents, you stop going from 0.1 of a cent. So 9.8 cents, 9.9, 10 cents is your tick increments. You then get to 10.5 cents. So if you buy at 10 cents, the very next price you can sell at is 10.5, and you pocket a 5% gain. So it's quite a popular level and can see a lot of volume stuck right in there. So now I've laid that foundation for those who don't trade micro so much. What's here, Charles? What's in front of us?
Looking at this chart, sometimes I think I should be trading a few micros more often. So stocks had a run up, holding above the 50 MA, trade sideways, dry up in volume, and then it breaks out clearly on larger volume and continues to push. And it's up 77% in 18 days. Like, what a cracker.
It's more away from the portfolio.
Yeah. These are the ones we want.
Yeah.
So would I be chasing it now? As before, if I haven't purchased it in this range, I'm not going to be chasing it. But it's like that's the type of style of investment that I want in the portfolio. Obviously, it's too small for me, but fantastic. Like if you've caught this, do you sell? I have the saying that I mentioned the other week. Feed the ducks when they're quacking. It looks like a quacker to me, but yeah, it's each to their own. It's just a great looking chart.
I'd bet the same thing. I'd add the same expression. There's another bus coming and feed the ducks while they quack, and they were thrown at me. And I'd be feeding the ducks. And like you've highlighted and you've shown with ones that you've mapped out for previous leaders, and we've done with the model books, they normally give us another chance for a reload. And quite often you look for a reload. We've shown it with Drone Shield and other things like that. So,
like even MM8 originally, stock runs up. Well, there's a buy, there's another buy, there's another buy. A little congestion. There is a buy signal. It's not as weak as the stock's, but it then comes back. Gives another buy signal. There's even a buy signal here that would have been a tough one to buy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like,
yeah,
have you missed it? Is the stock going to $1? I don't know.
Yeah. Did it give us the opportunity multiple times? And like William O'Neill taught us, it's just like you've drawn there. He had charts that would go for years and he marked up similar things. They just give you the opportunity to set up. You just need to keep paying attention.
Yeah.
So you're going to educate us on something here with PMA, with some.
I always look at the best performing leaders. Hang on, what have I done here? People will say, oh, I've missed it. Well, once you start reading the charts, you can see multiple buy points throughout the whole way. It's as long as the stock's taking out new highs, acting in a reasonable form, I'm keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, that's a good way to shortlist it. And I love that you've gone back to one of the market's strongest performers to see, well, does this conform with market leaders? Does it conform with a monster stock that puts on massive returns? Yeah, it's the same pattern unfolding time and time again. And that's what we love. You've just shared with us some more insights, some more gold, some more lessons. And we say thank you very much, Charles from Foreshore Capital. Thank you.
Thanks so much. See ya.